Hey everybody, it is Chuck Barone on a happy Friday. Yay, September 27th, 2024. What a week of madness to wrap up. Market today, another weird day. Dow Jones setting a record while everything, well, the S&P and the NASDAQ go down. Very strange. I was reading some of the chat here. It was interesting what Dave was just talking about here about the aircraft. I was reading it was aircraft and naval vessels where the basically intentional shit welds. So they're the world is off its friggin' rocker, man. We do this system now where it's not about how good you are, how qualified you are. It's about how fair everything is. Everything has to be fair, and this is the result, man. Everything is just crappier. It sucks, man. It's like, can you imagine? And I think was it Boeing? It was a big company. I can't remember exactly where it was. I think I'm mixing up Boeing because they're in the news a little today with all their problems. But I read a little bit about that article. I thought that was interesting. And of course, just pointing out the folly of some of these ideas government comes up with, man. I mean, trying to create equality is one thing. Equality is good. Everybody has an equal say, everybody has an equal chance, everybody has an equal level playing field in essence, even though we all know in the friggin' United States that does not exist. Okay. And they want to talk about, people have advantages and disadvantages, and that very well may be true. I just don't ever feel like I got any friggin' advantages, man. I've had to scrape and fight and bite and gouge and for every single thing I ever got in my whole life. So anyway, the world's off its rocker, guys, but we're not. We're all good. And the people who've been following this, I got to say, my show here, I don't have the bells and whistles. I don't do lots of fancy stuff with the show. I don't make funny faces like some guys do. I don't swear much. I don't do things, the crap that gets clicks, right? I don't have sensational headlines every day. Oh my God, must see, world coming to end, blah, 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 right? I don't do all this clickbait bullshit. And truthfully, I say it like I see it, which makes some people angry because some people don't want the truth. They want opinion that supports their own. So whenever I talk about politics, I lose friggin' viewers from both sides of the aisle, which is wonderful stuff. I tried to explain to you guys I hate them both equally. I think they're both lying sacks of shit, both sides. But anyway, you got to say it, guys. I've been right more than these friggin' scary guys. Not only right more than them, way more than them. Like, not even close than them. I've been calling oil for a year. Bitcoin, pretty good. The investment advice we've been giving you guys, even though it's very, very, very basic, probably have you doing better than you're doing if you weren't following our advice. So interesting times, interesting, crazy, freaking nutso world we're living in. Anyway, I'm rambling. Forgive me. Let me take half a second. Welcome everybody to the show. It's a joyous day, guys. Things are really going well. Thank you all, as always, for your support, for being here, for being on the chats, just for being yourselves, man. Nice, happy, good. All right, markets today. Dow Jones Industrial Average breaking the all-time record. Now we saw that. Yes, we saw that Nasdaq and S&P breaking record. Was it just yesterday or the day before? So now all three indexes again at or near record highs. Dow Jones up 137 today, closing all-time high. All-time high, 42,313 on the Dow. Same time, though, the NASDAQ, that comes down 70 points, 18,119 on the NASDAQ, and the S&P down just 7 points, 5,738 on the S&P. So everything right there, everything. Stock markets, like I said, at or near record highs. Guys, I think that I don't want to be Charlie Cheerful here because you guys know that's not my natural demeanor. But these markets and what's happening with this economy, and even the little bit of data we did get today, some of the data we got today, they're not pointing to doom. Now, granted, there's a lot of things out there that are. We got terrible wars with nuclear armed nations fighting in wars. You got the climate going crazy, whether it's man-made or not. This hurricane that nailed Florida, Georgia, Tennessee got hit with storms. I mean, it literally ran from the Gulf of Mexico all the way up to Virginia. I mean, I told you guys yesterday, when I lived in South Florida, when Andrew hit Florida, it was the first hurricane that actually hit the state of Florida in 40 years. Now with this one that hit today, that's 6 hurricanes in the last 3 years. Something different, right? Crazy world, guys. Anyway, markets today, record highs, unstoppable, and looking like needing a reason to stop going higher and not really finding one. Bond market today also rises, man. People buying bonds today. The 10-year, now, you know, prices up means yields coming down. So the 10-year down 4 basis points, sitting at now 3.75% for the 10-year. The 2-year treasury down 6 basis points. So a nice rally in 2 years, now sitting at 3.56%. So the bond market had a decent day as well. The dollar, even though it's down 18 basis points, still at 100.41. So the dollar holding its own as well in the face of recent cuts and understanding that future cuts are coming as well. Precious metals today, not a great day, down today. That's surprising, though, in the face of the dollar coming down a little bit. But precious metals down, gold down $20.40, $2,654.10 for gold. Silver comes down 38 cents, $31.61 for an ounce of silver. So silver still holding its own. You know me, I'm a big silver guy. Silver, baby. Holding its own. A nice consolidation pattern starting now above $30. Everything going well. Oil today actually rises. Oil up 91 cents per barrel. Now at $68.58 for a barrel of West Texas Intermediate. That is the proverbial dead cat bounce, guys. Oil's cooked. The demand is falling. Supply is rising. Even the U.S. has been buying surplus to fill up back to the reserves. Oil, the bias for oil down. Until I change it, though, we still see it between 70 and 75. Bitcoin today rallies up as well. Bitcoin up $920, $65,760 for Bitcoin. Bitcoin also, just like silver, in a very strong pattern, consolidating strength above $60,000. Now, Bitcoin's a little more volatile. Bitcoin makes big ups and downs depending on who's selling, apparently. So interesting, but Bitcoin looking pretty strong, at least to me. All right, so let's talk about news today, data. So we knew today's the big day. The one, it's the day, it's PCE day. Huge day for interest, huge day for the interest rate world. Let's see what inflation looked like. So top line, PCE, 2.2%. They were expecting 2.3, so they got a better number. Everything actually, except core, came in better than they were expecting. So 2.2% top line year over year. Core, they were expecting 2.6% on core. They got 2.7. So core missing by a tenth. Not a happy number for core. I don't like that as well. But what are we paying attention to? Most people not even going to look. Most people aren't really paying attention to core. They're looking at top line 2.2, and an annualized basis. Annualized. The last 4 months have been 1.8% core. over the last 4 months, if you annualize that out over 12, you got core at 1.8. So this little bit of a spike, not much to worry about. The monthly numbers came in lower than expected as well, 0.2%. They were expecting 0.3, and everything looking just peachy for this PCE reading. I don't think the Fed could have asked for better results. Now, this really kind of opens the door. If the Fed decides they want to cut rates by 0.5 point at the next meeting, and the market is kind of feeling like there's a better than 50% chance that they will. This report gives them the room to do that because inflation moving right where they want it to be. Now we'll see what CPI looks like because this PCE number tends to be lower than the CPI number. So we'll see what that looks like when that comes out later this month. But right now, inflation going the Fed's way, core a little bit sticky. Well, I'm sure, like I said, the last 4 months, though, that's what they're looking at more than today's 2.7 number. They're seeing that for last 4 months annualized at 1.8, feeling like they're in a good position as far as the way what they've done so far, the rate cut, not really spiking anything anywhere, at least that's noticeable yet. Now, it's pretty early in the game, but we'll see where that goes. So, Powell, yay, good job, Powell. Happy guy. Everything going the Fed's way. This is why I call him St. Jerome, because this guy pulls miracles off, man. It's crazy. All right, moving on. Quick stuff today to wrap everything up, to get this week up. Silver, guys. I know most people don't realize this, but silver is actually outperforming gold this year. Everybody's making a big deal because gold up 30%, beating the stock market, which is up about 20%. We talked about that yesterday, what an anomaly it is for the S&P to be up 20% plus for 2 consecutive years. That doesn't happen very often. Gold up 30. Silver up 35. Boom. So silver actually the best performer of them all. Awesome sauce. Geez, guys, I saw this today. It was really a sad thing. The iconic Chrysler building in New York City is being repossessed. So the guy I see that's kind of a weird deal in New York. There's a company that owns the land, and then the company that owns the building on the land. So once you own the building, you got to pay the guy who owns the land forever for the privilege of owning that building on his land. Couldn't keep up with the payments. The landholder now taking it back over. $21 million in arrears on rent on the Chrysler building. So, yes, I did say that. Gold up 800% since December 31st, 1999. Crazy, guys. Chrysler building gets repoed. So this is the picture finish for this commercial real estate crisis that we're having. Iconic building like that. It's sad. University of Michigan today, we got their report out talking about consumer spending, consumer earnings, both actually disappointing a little bit today. Consumer spending, they were expecting month over month up 0.4%. Nope, got 0.2. Uh-oh. The earnings, the income part, consumer incomes, they were expecting 0.3%. Got 0.2. So disappointing numbers month over month for incomes and spending. Both incomes and spending still going up, but not at the pace that the market was looking for, that experts were looking for. There's a lot of signs now. Most people are starting to notice the consumer a little bit tired out, a little bit tapped out, a little bit burnt, and unhappy is the word, I guess, right? So there we have that, earnings and incomes, spending and incomes continuing to rise, but at a slower pace. Jobs report next week, guys, that's going to be the big one, man. Now the jobs report next week takes the place of PCE this week. Now they're expecting that jobs report to come in next week at 140,000. So the guess is 140,000. We'll see. They for a long time they were missing that number. They were low, missing to the downside. Last few months they've been missing. They've been high. So we'll see. 140 does not sound like a giant number. We were creating, much, much, much bigger numbers than that. So we'll see. That's going to be a big one, though, because if the jobs market looks like it's slowing down, right? If they can't beat that 140 if it comes in less, man, the bond market's going to take off on this idea of a half a point cut in November. If the jobs report comes in hot, the bond market will start placing their bets appropriately for the quarter point cut. So that's going to be a huge report. Powell also actually gives another speech on Monday. Now, this one I think he'll do live. I don't think he's going to mail this one in like he did the last one. This one's in New York where he is, and so we'll be looking for what he has to say on that. He's actually supposed to be talking about the economy at that one, not how the history of the Fed saving the Treasury in 1990s or whatever the hell he did the last one. So we'll see what Powell has to say for himself on Monday. University of Michigan. This was really strange. So remember the other day we were talking about consumer confidence just falling off a cliff and coming in at like the lowest number in 4 years, and everybody was tripping out, right? And today, the University of Michigan, which is a pretty respected report, comes up today. They said consumer sentiment up. Well, wait a minute. It was 67.9 in August, up to 70.1. Now, I had to look. Pre-pandemic, this number was in the high 80s. So it's down pretty dramatically from where it was pre-pandemic, but wow. So there's, again, this is this weirdness with the data we get where you have these paradoxes. So how could consumer sentiment be higher and consumer confidence, which I would guess is the same thing, be lower? I guess it depends on who's doing the polling. Let's not even talk about elections. But let's do who's doing the polling and who they're talking to. Interesting stuff. And last thing, I saw this little last thing. It made me laugh, guys. It was Susie Orman. You guys have heard of her. She's one of the financial gurus. Copying old Chuck here, guys. You know what her advice is now? She's always had some wild stuff she does. But today's tip of the day for her, learn to live below your means. Everybody, hopefully that's the start of a trend. Smart people, let's go back to basics. The basics have been long, old school stuff. It's been around a long time because it works, man. Anyway, nice to have you on board, Susie. Watch my show. Anyway, guys, that is it for the day. It's pretty much it for the month. We'll have the first of the month turning over next week. Everybody get out there, have a great weekend, spend some time with friends and family, people you love, people you care about, have a cold beer, watch a little bit of football, relax, get away from the madness for a few days. We'll be back on Monday to bring you guys the news you need. 100K BMW was being repossessed. Oh boy. Yeah, you know why? He probably had a friggin' $1,200 a month payment on it. I was doing a mortgage for a guy once. He bought his wife a Range Rover. The payment on the Range Rover was $1,700 freaking dollars. Really hard to make your debt ratios work when you have a $1,700 car payment. Anyway, back to the wrap. Everybody have a great weekend. Go Bills. We got the Ravens this Sunday. We're going to kick their ass. Back on Monday to bring you guys the news you need. Everybody have a great weekend, man. See you Monday.